Alright, it is March, which means I am now going to do another video about my 5 favorite films that I watched in February. These are 5 quick recommendations. This is not a ranking video. I am going in the order that I watched these. If you are looking for something to watch this month, here are 5 movies that I would recommend that I saw in February. First is Boogie Nights. I finally sat down and watched the Paul Thomas Anderson film. He made this when he was 26, and I don't know how he pulled it off. It's wild and full of energy. The characters feel rich, and the performances from everyone in the ensemble are fantastic. Even when it is entertaining, it goes down a deep, dark route, and it tends to sit through at times. The soundtrack is awesome. Every single song hits. This is one of those movies where Mark Wahlberg says he wants God to forgive him for playing a character like this, when actually this is probably Mark Wahlberg's best performance in his entire career. The second movie I want to recommend is The Incredible Shrinking Man. If you are looking for a nice 1950s sci-fi film, well, I got one for you. The film starts off as a drama about a man coming to terms with getting smaller, but then it turns into this philosophical adventure. The special effects and the prop usage are very creative, and they hold up very well also. There is so much forced perspective being used in this film that it has actually helped this movie age quite a bit. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there are some parts where it's like, well, this is clearly of its time, but I think that just adds a nice little flavor to it. It's on the Criterion channel, and it's in the Criterion collection. Go check it out. The next movie is Apocalypse Now. I also sat down and finally watched this. This has been on my watch list forever, and I watched the Redux version. I think it was the first thing that popped up when I was searching for it, and I just watched that. And even though it's about 3 hours long, I never found that to be an issue. The film almost has this episodic story going on. Our characters are really just interacting with other different characters that have different aspects on the Vietnam War. Each of these contacts are heavy in its own way, and even though it is a very hectic movie and there's so much happening around these characters, Martin Sheen is holding it all in, and it's a perfect contrast to everything else that is happening in this movie. What really impresses me though is that even though this is a very dark film, it's a gorgeous movie to look at. I gotta admit it. You can bask in the heat. You can see and feel the sweat on these actors' faces. The editing and the camera dissolves. It feels real. It's so well done. And yet, it is also very stressful to watch. I mean, just looking at everything happening and knowing that this is not CGI, these are practical effects. I don't know how Francis Ford Coppola was able to pull it off. I'm aware it was a very hectic shoot. I need to watch the documentary about him making this film, because man, there were times where I was just having a headache trying to figure out how they pulled it off. So one day I'll go check out that documentary, but right now, I'm finally happy I got to see this. The fourth film is Perfect Days. This is Wim Wenders' latest film about a man named Hirayama who cleans public restrooms in Japan, and that's mainly the gist of it. It may not sound entirely interesting because we're just following an ordinary man, but there's so much beauty and inner peace with Hirayama that it makes the story peaceful to watch. When you're fully invested in this lifestyle and this character's routines, any cause of disruption feels impactful, and it causes distress not on just Hirayama, but onto the audience as well. The details in everyday life are admirable, and it makes you think about the little things in life. It's a tender and intimate film at times. I can't wait to watch it again. It currently has an Oscar nomination in this year's Oscars for the foreign language category. This is my favorite film in that category without a doubt. This was also the last movie that I wanted to watch in 2023, so I finally got all of those movies out of my way. I think my list is done now. So the final film that I want to talk about is Dune. Now, I'm not going to talk about part 2. I will do a video on that pretty much soon as I'm done working on this video. Now, the thing about this is I'm going to try to just talk about some things that I admired in this film that are not really a part of the second film, which is a challenge on its own because they're very essential to one another. So I will start to say that even though there's plenty of action in this film, this is a movie that is far more focused on world building and less action. It's been 3 years now out, and we're still not getting as much stuff like this, and I'm kind of shocked. The more I watch this movie, the more I appreciate it. It's a very patient film, and I do not mean that it's a slow movie, but more so that Villeneuve is just making the story very digestible. If you want a sci-fi film that feels big, and it looks big, and it looks stunning, and it's got great performances, I can't recommend this enough. And also, I can say that these guys, they're all great. I know that they are not in part 2, but I do hope I get to see them in more Denis Villeneuve films because they are all fantastic. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna end it there. I will talk about Dune 2 later on, I promise. Thank you so much for watching this. If you made it this far, have you seen any of these 5 films? Do you plan on checking them out? What was your favorite movie you saw in February? Please let me know down below. Please like, share this if you want to, subscribe if you want to. Make sure you exercise every day, drink your milk. Have a great day.